Okay, as you probably guessed, we're going to talk about knives, specifically folding knives or pocket knives. These are going to be 10 of what I think are the best knives in various price ranges, and I'm going to talk about each knife and what I like about it. And we have a lot of knives to cover here, so let's get right to it. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Kershaw Knockout Model 1870. It's 3.6 ounces. It's about $65. Overall length 7.87 inches and blade length 3.25. It has a steel called Sandvik, S-A-N-D-V-I-K, 14C28N. And I'll tell you right off the bat what I like about this knife. It's very light for the size knife it is and for the size blade it is. It's very light and very thin. Very thin. Now, if you look at this, this is what's kind of unique about this. This is why it's called the Knockout. These are aluminum handles, but then this piece that gives you the lockup, let me launch it. By the way, it is an assisted knife, a Kershaw assisted opening knife. The lockup occurs when this stainless steel piece locks up to the knife. So a lot of people don't like aluminum or titanium on the hard steel blade as the lockup mechanism. This solves that problem. The handle's aluminum, but this piece here, which is also cut out to save weight, is stainless steel. So you've got a steel lockup on steel. And yet it's a very light, very comfortable. This clip, I stretched it out a little bit, loosened it up a little bit so that I could clip it right onto my pants and get it out relatively easily without it being too loose to where I think I'm going to lose the knife. By the way, if you don't like green, you might not like this video because some of my lanyards are green. This is reflective. This is not full-size paracord. This is a smaller reflective cord, which I use on some of the smaller knives. And if you ever drop it, if you're camping or something at night or something, you drop your knife, you can use a flashlight and that just glows in the dark, so you can very easily find your knife. So this is the Knockout. Very nice blade. You can open it with either the flipper or the thumb stud. Not a very good deployment there. I'm actually left-handed. I tried to do that right-handed. Some people do prefer launching this with the flipper. It is very easy to do with the flipper. You can also do it with the thumb stud if you're not reaching around a camera, trust me. This is still relatively new, so it's kind of tight. Okay, the next knife is the Kershaw Leek. Very popular knife. I was at a knife show down in Florida, and a gentleman who has hundreds of beautiful knives, let me see if I get that to focus in, he pulled this out of his pocket. This is what he carries as an EDC. Some people say the tip is too fine on it. Again, it depends on what you're using it for. Very lightweight, very easy to carry, very strong lockup. This is steel on steel. This is all stainless steel frame. So Kershaw Leek, always a good choice. This is the Sebenza, Chris Reeves Sebenza. You can see I've got it sitting on a cloth that came from Chris Reeves. Let me try to get that more in the picture. This is just a fantastic knife. There's a video out there titled something like The Best Pocket Knife or something that he features this, and you can definitely make the argument that this is the best. This is top of the line. You can go to Custom Knives and pay a whole lot more money, even though this one is $410 for a large Sebenza. This is titanium. And one thing, the reason I'm showing you this angle on it is the fit and finish on this. It's so tight, the blade just fits right in there, and there's almost no space on either side of that blade. Whereas if you compare that to other knives, let me come back to this Kershaw, there's more space on either side of the blade. Even though this one is also very slim, there's more space on either side of the blade. And also on this knife, there's a lot of space in the back before you get to the blade. Whereas on the Sebenza, you can't really see here with this shot, the blade is right here. I can literally touch it. It's right there. So the handles are no bigger than they have to be to conceal the blade. They're concealing the blade, but just barely. And so the blade and the size of the knife in relation to the blade is a very nice ratio. Now this one, you open it like so. Chris Reeves does not suggest that you flick this open. It seems like it's very durable, and it seems like it would survive that, but he does not suggest that you flick it open. Frame lock titanium on steel, which some people don't like, but this is very strong. And by the way, Nut & Fancy made the comment that you can overextend this if you push it out. You have to really work to do that. This clip also helps hold it from going too far. This clip is right on the locking mechanism. So you push this over and you close the knife. Very silky smooth, very high quality. There are plenty of videos on YouTube that talk about the Sebenza, so I'll let you watch those. But suffice it to say, this is just a fantastic knife. For the size blade it is and so forth, I think the weight is very acceptable. I would have no problem carrying this as an everyday EDC knife. Some people don't want to carry a knife this heavy, but this is just a beautiful knife and it cuts very well. Chris Reeves Sebenza, large 21 model. Okay, the SOG Flash 2 and the Flash 1 is also very popular. I've been carrying this EDC for over a year just because it's so lightweight. You don't even know it's in your pocket, and it's got this deep carry pocket clip, which is very safe. You're not going to accidentally knock this out of your pocket. Again, I have the lanyard on here, reflective lanyard. You just simply use a thumb stud, it flies out. Flash is an appropriate name for this knife. It just flies out. It's an assisted opening knife. It is not an auto knife, but it opens right up. Now this one has the serrated blade, half serrated blade. You can get them in the non-serrated. I carry one knife with me at all times that's serrated and one that's non-serrated. So I carry both, but they're not both Flash 2s. This is the only Flash 2 I have. So I think for the weight, this is a very strong, very usable knife. It doesn't have the best steel in the world. The stats on this, let's see here, 8 inches overall length, 3.5 inch blade, 3.1 ounces. It has AUS8 steel. This is about $55 depending on where you buy it. Very nice choice for a knife in that price. It's assembled in the USA, but parts come from all over. Very nice for a knife in that price range. Okay, Sage 2, this is by Spyderco. This is a knife that is to pay tribute to Chris Reeves, who we talked about earlier. And this is a beautiful little knife, beautiful little knife. Titanium handles, feels very nice in the hand. Reasonable weight for this size knife. It's relatively light. Definitely could be a very nice EDC blade. Opens nice and silky smooth, just like the Sebenza. This has been referred to as the poor man's Sebenza, and in many ways it is. Now, the only knock on this, and some people it's a knock, some people it's not, this is made in Taiwan. Now this is S30V steel, which is very good steel, and the steel I understand is made in the US. But the knife itself is assembled in Taiwan by obviously a knife maker that knows what they're doing. The fit and finish on this is first rate. This is, in my opinion, just as good as most USA made knives in this price range. Actually, you'd have to pay more to get one made in the USA of this quality with titanium and so forth. This is about $150. One thing I did notice about it that I would change, if there's anything I was going to change, is I would smooth out the top of the blade a little bit. It's a little bit sharp edges, and even the circle here that used to open it, a little bit sharp edges. Whereas the Sebenza itself, everything is smoothed out. If you feel the top of the blade, let me see if I can get this in the shot. This is all rounded and smooth. Every surface that you touch is smooth and nice to the touch. Whereas on this one, the blade is not all smoothed out. But that's personal preference. Some people may love it the way it is. It handles beautifully. It opens very smooth and nice. So it's not really a knock. For a small Sebenza, you'd have to pay about $350, and this knife is $150. So, you know, less than half the price, and you're getting something that is definitely comparable to a Chris Reeves small Sebenza. So this is definitely a top choice if you're willing to spend $150 and you want something of extreme quality to have in your pocket that just feels nice. Added note on the Sage 2, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not, is you can attach a lanyard, again, to one of these supports right here in the back. Same, get that to focus in, same way that Chris Reeves does it on his knife. Works great, blade does not get in the way. So I noticed Nothing Fancy in his review, he said that you could tie a lanyard onto the clip, but he wouldn't do it. Well, this is the way to do it, just like this. Works great, no problem. You could even do the bigger paracord if you wanted to. I just used the smaller reflective stuff because this is a smaller knife and I think it looks good on here. Okay, another knife by Spyderco, the Spyderco Tenacious, and this can be purchased for around 30 bucks or even less sometimes. It says G10 handles on it, good size knife, opens beautifully. This does not have, the steel on this is not quite as good as the one I just showed you with the S30V steel. This one has, it's 7.75 inches long, 3.375 inch blade, 4 ounces. It has 8 CR13 MOV steel, which some people say will rust in extreme high moisture environments. I use this in the kitchen all the time. I haven't had a problem with that, but some people say they do. For the money, this is just a super well-made knife. Now again, this knife is made in China, so if that is a turn-off for you, then keep that in mind. But for the money, this is an extremely high-value knife, as Nothing Fancy would say. Okay, the Boker Plus Subcom in titanium. I've seen a lot of mixed reviews on this knife. Some people say that this part is titanium and the back part is stainless steel. I used a magnet on it. I believe that everything is titanium except for the screws and the blade. This is titanium, the back is titanium, the frame lock is titanium, in other words, and the clip is titanium. And I think this thing is very well made. This was only $35, and for a titanium knife, that is unheard of. Opens nice and smooth, nice small little blade. If you want an EDC, that is everyday carry, a very lightweight, very well-made knife. This can double as a money clip, which is really convenient. You can put your money in here and use this as a money clip. It's very light, it's feather lightweight. Let's see what the weight is on this. 2.3 ounces. 440C steel, which some people love, others not so much. I think it's a good choice for this knife, and in this price range, you cannot beat it. I put this large lanyard on here on the end to give us extra grip, okay? So if you want to grip with that and cut, you can do that. So that's a large paracord lanyard that I put on there. So that is a beautiful, beautiful knife for the money. I was really impressed with the quality of this knife for the price point. I'm sure it has to be made overseas, but a lot of titanium in that knife, and for that price, you cannot beat it. Okay, the Zero Tolerance. This is made by, Kershaw actually owns the parent company, and Zero Tolerance makes it. Model number 0560. This is basically the poor man's XM18. This is a Endura design, and Endura, of course, makes the XM18, and those are very pricey, you know, $800, $1,000, you know, whatever. Custom, beautiful knives. This is a knife that in many respects is every bit as good as one of those knives. About $250 currently. Price point, $250, $260, depending on where you buy it. 8.8 inches overall, 3.75 inch blade, 5.8 ounces. Elmax steel, which is very good steel by all accounts. Flipper opener and thumb studs, dual thumb studs. So this one you do kind of flick So it very fast deploying knife, and I've seen just about all the reviewers out there flip this open, so I don't know if this one, if they recommend that you do that. I know Chris Reeves does not recommend you do that. This seems like it has a very strong lockup because the thumb studs go right up in here and lock into this titanium. So they kind of act as a stop. So that's a lot of surface area stopping that blade. So you're probably okay flicking this. It seems like a very, very sturdy construction. This is all titanium on the back, titanium frame lock here. Okay. Very light for the size knife it is. There's a lot of cutouts inside here, a lot of milling, cutting out, oops, I'm not getting that in the frame very good, cutting out additional material out of the middle, titanium actually. This is all titanium here. There's titanium on this side, and then it's got the scales on here. Let's see what they're made of. Lanyard back here, kind of Chris Reeves Sebenza style. And the blade does not get anywhere near cutting it. So you don't have to put the lanyard through this lanyard hole here. You can do it Chris Reeves Sebenza style on this support in the back, and that works very well. Let me just close it up here. That is a very nice way to put the lanyard. I put a large 550 cord lanyard on here, and I do not take the nylon out of the middle of the 550 cord, which a lot of people do when they do lanyards, because one of the reasons I do a lanyard is I might need that cord in the field, so I might need to untie that and use it as a tourniquet or something like that, and I want it to be strong 550 cord for that purpose. So this is a wonderful knife if you want a tactical knife. If you want a relatively heavy knife to carry every day, EDC, but for a tactical knife, for something that can really get the job done, the weight on this is very acceptable. Beautiful, beautiful knife. The Kershaw Blur is another fantastic knife by Kershaw, made in the United States of America. I bought this one at Walmart some years back. It flies open. Okay, just as fast as the Flash. This one has a half serrated blade. Good traction on the handles, a little bit of jimping here, good traction on this blade. Let's see what price range this is. But it's 3.4 inch blade, 7.87 overall, 4.2 ounces, 440A steel, $69 is the price point nowadays on this blade, and it comes in, this is a Tanto blade, it comes in a standard blade and without the serrations. Kershaw Blur has a small hole back here for the lanyard, which is great for the small reflective lanyard that I'm using. Just a good all-around US made, another Kershaw knife that is a very popular choice for EDC. Okay, to wrap up real quick, I'm going to talk about two more knives. The Spyderco Endura, let me see here, 8.75 inches overall, 3.75 blade, 3.4 ounces, VG10 steel, made in Japan. This is a slightly more expensive knife. This is $60. Very lightweight for the size blade. So if you're looking for lightweight and you had a very high quality blade, this is your choice. Now this one's kind of tight, it's brand new, hasn't been used much. But this is a very good option for somebody that wants lightweight but wants a good sized blade in an EDC roll. Again, blade is made in Japan. And also sitting here I have my Victorinox Scientist, a model that's no longer available. And this I've been carrying for probably 20 years, the Scientist model. I also carry this EDC in my pocket at all times. It has a straight out Phillips, which is very nice. It has a magnifying glass. I wish this model was still available. It's very thin. It's much thinner than any of the other models that have the straight out Phillips head screwdriver. So that will wrap up for now my review. So you have to decide which one's for you.